Hello, hello. Welcome, folks, to the Land Tamer stream. It is Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and let's talk networking. Let's talk about some certification stuff. I have some updates for everyone. So, in terms of where I'm going, this is now 2 days following the second attempt of the CCIE written. So. Let's talk plans. This, by the way, is a new photo I saw today that was taken from Earth. It actually rivals Earth. Supposedly the resolution is better than that of the Hubble telescope. Hey, Dimitri's on at 2 a.m. Good to have you, man, and mentors as well. Good to have a gang here. So yeah, this image of Neptune, that is sharper than the Hubble, from something called the ESO's VLT, which stands for Very Large Telescope. I didn't know anything about it, but really cool stuff. So there's a link there. But yeah, so let's talk the new schedule. I went ahead today and scheduled another exam. Now, this is a soft date. It's kind of arbitrary. There was really not much science in it at all. It's just, I know I'm not going to do it in August. I know I'm going to do it under the new Evolving Technologies 1.1. I'm just letting 1.0 go, and I'm happy to see it go. And no tears will be shed over Evolving Technologies 1.0. Hopefully 1.1 will be better. I hope they've gotten a lot of good feedback. And again, looking over in detail yesterday, the blueprint for 1.1, almost seems to me like a lot of that was snuck in early, but that's just my thoughts. I do like some of the alignment of 1.1 and some of the things I'm working on actually now. Today, as a matter of fact, I was playing with Ansible a little bit for my job. One cool thing about Ansible, this was brought out in Greg Farrow's post recently, his briefing in brief about Ansible. He attended the Red Hat conference, and the fact that Ansible, I know it's a tool of limitations, but at least we have an implementation where you have your virtualization people and network people who are able to use the same tool, to do at least some automation, right? The scope of what I'm using it for is pretty small, so I think it's going to be okay to kind of learn on. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be working with some devices that are not in production, so I'm going to have a chance to, in the next few days, sharpen my skills with Python and with Ansible and YAML. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm actually pretty excited. And I may actually do some of that work tonight because I've got a deadline, and I'm trying to do something new at the same time, yet meet the deadline. So I'm going to have to put in some extra work tonight, probably, for that. So, it was a podcast episode or a blog article? It was a podcast episode, Dimitri. I'll get you that link. I actually had it yesterday in yesterday's Meet Chunks. And it was a BIB, briefing in brief, so it wasn't a long, drawn-out thing. It doesn't take long to listen to. Yeah, moving up, and they are trying to scale out. I think they recognize one of the things that Dimitri actually brought to my attention about the weaknesses of Ansible is the scalability of it. And I think Ansible started to recognize that, and I think Greg mentions it. And they're taking great strides to try to address that, I think. So it seems at least that they recognize that problem and may actually do something about it. We'll see, right? Time will tell. So yeah, have a new schedule. Again, 62 days. It's a soft countdown. I knew it wasn't going to be August, so I just picked the next month, close to the last day of the month, and I selected a different testing center. This testing center is less than a mile from the other one. They have fewer slots, but that testing center I went to the other day was the worst in my experience for Pearson VUE. It was not good. So, the proctors were late, door was locked. They had just turned the AC on here in Florida. Anyway, it was the first computer they booted up was trying to do Windows updates. They couldn't log into the Pearson VUE system, so went to another one. There was actually even a little delay. So you would click next on your question. And I've seen this before, and it was nothing major, but sometimes it would go for up to a minute before it would show me the next question. So thank you, says Dimitri, was listening to NFD18 Ansible presentation live remotely, and there was a lot of discussions on Twitter about that talk. Yeah, are they going to make that available, Dimitri, for on demand, or do you have to be paid? Did you have to pay to attend? Do you know how that's going to work? Let me know if you need any help or mentoring on Ansible Python. Oh, thank you, Dimitri. Awesome. It may warn you, but you should be able to post a link here without a problem. Thank you very much. And yes, I may ping you on that. There's only supposedly for F5, I was reading about that today. There's only a few modules you may have to add to Python in order to, depending on what modules you're using on the F5 and what functions you're trying to, call on the F5 or what objects you're trying to create. But it's not many, supposedly. I looked at a short list to do today of the requirements of what you have to install, and it's not much. So we'll see. Should be going to cut my teeth on, but thank you very much for the offer, y'all. Dimitri is the networking programmability streamer and is a great mentor type, has helped a lot of people with the streams. So, and this, if you all look at the 1.1 Evolving Technologies Guide, it's a good indication of where the industry is moving, and things that you need to learn and add to your tool set. And I mean, I'm not the writer of the CCIE, curriculum, but just in the little I know in my field, I would say it is definitely a skill set that is needed. I need all those skills like right now, like IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. That's stuff that I'm working on now. JSON, formatting of JSON, YAML, XML. I just stop it. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Okay, 5 parts, cool. I'm going to check that out, Dimitri, because I think I'd see some things on Twitter about that too, how good it was. So, but yeah, so I actually definitely agree with what I saw. Like the last Evolving Technologies 1.0, I don't know when they came out, and of course this is looking backwards, but OpenStack, not probably a very relevant choice. Maybe it was a good call at the time for them to say we need to include OpenStack. And I did learn about OpenStack, and I think it will probably help me in some respect in the future. But what is in the new 1.1, to me, at least being selfish here, forcing me to learn some of those things more in depth is actually going to be very good for me right now in my job. So I'm happy about that. I probably should have looked at it before. If I would have looked at 1.1 before, I probably would have just rescheduled, but I still wouldn't have passed because I needed to learn some lessons on this fail. Anyway, going forward, it's 2 days past. I haven't done a lot of study, to be honest. I just relaxing yesterday. It's been actually very busy at work. I have some deadlines at work, so I'm going to be very busy with that. Won't have a lot of time to study. But I do intend to do in the next couple of days a post-mortem, and what I mean by that is, as I mentioned to you all yesterday, I did a much better job this time of taking considerable amount of notes, both immediately following the exam and then upon returning home about 30, 45 minutes later. My intent is to go over those notes. The notes fall into different categories, right? Some of them are, what in the H is this, right? I have no idea what this acronym is. So there's some that fall in that category. I just need to know at least what this technology is and where does it even fall in the current, where does it even fall? How did I miss it, in other words? What part of my process allowed me to entirely miss learning about this technology or thinking I need to learn about this technology. Whoa, that was loud. Oh my gosh, Dimitri with a donation. Thank you, sir. Wow, that is very generous, Dimitri. You are very generous. I appreciate it, my friend. Biggest dono I've ever got. So, see what I'm talking about, guys? He's definitely a mentor and just looking out for us all. Thank you, Dimitri. That makes me feel real good, my friend. That will go back into the stream. We got to get some new lights. Hey, Lan, can you mention Big Abe's stream today at 9? If I'm correct, hope we get more peeps to join us. Yeah, definitely for sure. Let me put that down here too. And we'll do a mention also of several people. We'll do Dimitri's, we'll plug Dimitri, and we'll plug Tony E. A lot of great collaboration going on. Thanks again, Dimitri, man. That's epic. That is so epic. But yeah, so, you know, so that's one category of things that I need to address, and that's probably what I'm going to do first. Yeah, he's thinking Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, 9 p.m. That's what I heard too. He's talking about slot, and that's good. And I want to talk about streaming in a minute. Thank you for reminding me of that, mentors. That brings up a good point of some information I got today about Twitch. Yeah, so it's how did I miss that? So it's not so much about the technology itself. Yes, it is great that, you know, I need to learn more about that, and I need to dig and understand enough about that technology. As long as it's, so let's say the technology is in 1.0 evolving technologies, then I need to determine, okay, is that in 1.1? Maybe it's included there by, you know, it's implied. Maybe it's not explicitly stated. And so do I need to put that on my target list, that particular technology? But more important, how did I miss it? Like, I should not really be surprised at the written. Okay, granted, it can happen. Sometimes they do put in experimental questions, and it will tell you that. They put in experimental questions that do not count against your score. But if you get one or two, that's fine. You know, you can expect that. You should be expected, possibly be surprised by a couple of questions, right? But the quantity I had, you should not be surprised by that many technologies or questions or scope in what you're being tested on. If that's the case, it's easy for me to blame Cisco, blame the people that wrote the exam, but that's not going to help me on the next one, right? I need to be objective, unbiased, and I need to look at my process. How did I miss this? And what can I do next time to ensure that doesn't happen again, right? So that's going to be the postmortem. The other section is some that I was not sure. Like, a lot of questions come down to two answers that either the wording is a little tricky or the question is designed in a very ingenious way such that you really have to know the topic to know which one of those two. Like, sometimes you can really rule out one or two of them pretty quickly. But a lot of the questions I struggled on, there were two, maybe it was a multiple choice single answer, and there were two answers that it was difficult for me to decide. So I tried to write those down. I'm going to review those and try to clarify those technologies and the answer. And then the other category I would call, I'm 95% sure I got this right. But, you know, they don't tell you. You don't get the feedback that precisely. So I just want to review those for my own sanity and make sure I'm on the right track and make sure I'm not missing something, because I could see that question again in the next exam and get it wrong again. So I just want to do some verification. Dimitri says, it is great to see more and more people stream about networking. Did we start a movement? We did, man. And I'm happy about it, Dimitri. I've been so, you know, it's cool. Today, like during work, I wasn't paying 100% attention all the time, but I was catching up on Tony E's stream and some of his work. And it made me feel so good because seeing someone else do the stream and seeing someone else doing, what I know Dimitri, I've been doing it now a good while, but seeing it kind of catch on, seeing others benefit and get enjoyment, and it feels really good, Dimitri. It really does. So thank you so much for the support of the stream. I really appreciate it. Divisible, you supporting why I'm not taking the written time no time soon. Look, I don't want to scare anybody away, okay? Show passed it recently. Yeah, we are family. Show passed it. I know a number of other people who passed it at Cisco Live. So, the written is a very, while we're, a good community and we're pretty tight, it is still in a lot of ways an individual journey. So I don't mean to discourage you too much, Divisible, but I would say right now, if you have not already scheduled your exam, don't schedule it until at least after August 30th, because the Evolving Technologies 1.1. And definitely give yourself enough time. Don't dismiss the Evolving Technology section. Like, I'll read Nick Russo's guide, which is great, by the way. And it helped me a lot, right? Because otherwise, there is no really good certification material that extensive on the Evolving Technology section. But don't dismiss it. It can be, as you saw in mine, I got 10% this time, 70% last time. It significantly impacted my score. So it's 10%, but don't dismiss it. You definitely want to be prepared. And that guide has not been out very long. So anyway, definitely give yourself some time. Wow, great chats going on, guys. Trying to keep up here. Hey, there's show. Yes, I'll be beginning you guys coming in August as well. All right, mentors. What I was saying, technically starts the clock too. Yeah, agreed. It's great to see that. Can we get more streamers about networking than Fortnite? Hey, man, Dimitri is going to be the next ninja. You watch, guys. He's going to be the next ninja. He'll be streaming, networking with, with some rap stars. He'll be streaming, networking with Katy Perry or something. That'll be awesome with the celebs. Let's see. I agree. See that great. Can we get more stream? I'm still cracking up about that. We pretty much finished my labbing by the time I decided to look at the written. If that's what you're doing right now, Divisible, I will say, for example, I got to the workbook. I mentioned this yesterday, in the middle of multicast, and the written does not shy away from multicast at all. So IGMP, yeah, you need to be ready for that stuff. So if you're already on that track, I would say, definitely keep going. Law, evolving is only 10%. Yes, evolving is only 10% overall. And if you get 0, or effectively 0 of that 10%, you've just taken a big chunk out of your score. I started recording behind the scenes, behind the stream. Ooh, I like it. Dimitri with all my 15 simultaneous viewers. Yeah, let's try to get partner first, man. That's 75, I think. Who knows, man? One day. We're definitely... I had some friends at work that found out about my stream, and they watch Twitch for gaming too. And they were giving, one guy in particular, he was trying to give me some suggestions. He's like, "Can you talk more about the CCNA? I think you'll probably get more viewers." And I'm like, "Well, I appreciate that." And that's what he wants to learn is CCNA. But I was like, man, I know it's niche. I know it's a very vertical knowledge area, but man, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm doing. When it was just me and Dibizzle and Demetrius or 100 viewers, it's going to be the same. We're definitely kicking ours, take no prisoners. That's right, guys. So that's going to be my postmortem. It'll probably take me a couple days to go through that. Like I said, I have a lot of notes. I want to do a meetup, and we might not be able to use Discord for the next one. Last one we had 8, and that's the max for Discord for video chat. So we might have to use Zoom. The show did a lot of good work. We did some collaboration on Zoom, and now I got a little bit of idea how to use that. It's really cool. So maybe we can do the next one in Zoom. And I don't know, what do you guys think of maybe like a Wednesday night or something? We'll chat about it on Discord. And let's see, by the time you get Seaside, you'll be plenty of viewers. So man, stream is not and should not be considered as a course. It is a journey shared with others. That's very true, Dimitri. And that's why I tried to point out to him too. I said, tell you what, there's some material that I used. Actually, I used some material for the CCNP as well. Not for the entire thing, but I didn't rely on it entirely. But I know that Chris Bryant had a course on udemy.com. Udemy is an instructional site. I know that Safari Books Online now, and irritatingly so, the big ads when you log in, they're trying to promote instruction online. That streaming is a whole different ballgame. Yeah, Zoom is pretty simple setup, free, and it works great. It works really good. But yeah, we'll do a meetup, and then I will say, guys, I think I am going to subscribe to networklessons.com. You know, one thing that kind of convinced me of that is I was watching shows, I was catching up to his videos this morning at work, and he was talking about PPPoE, and that's something that I struggled to find some kind of definitive material on. And I just, I'm on this $1 for 1 week trial, and I went to networklessons.com, did PPPoE, and boom, he had a nice write-up. What's really good about networklessons.com, I will say so far, and the reason I think I'm going to purchase it is the format is very, it's brief and to the point, it's succinct. There's a lot of diagrams and illustrations, and there are a lot of actual labs. And some of them even have videos embedded in the lessons. So if it's like going to be too much to write, he'll put a video in there. You click on the video to watch. And then below, he'll have configurations, outputs, and Wireshark captures. I mean, basically the way you and I have been doing this show, like the way we've been doing our labs, that's the way he does a lot of these network. I mean, it's not all video, but I've been really impressed. And the Wireshark captures you can download. Usually click a link, you can download it, and he has all the configurations there. So if you want to lab it yourself, which I'll probably be doing some of that. Now granted, this is part of the written course. So I like that he sort of includes some lab. They're not extensive labs, but for like PPPoE, he has a brief lab in there. You can download configs, pop them in your own lab, and just play with it a little bit, just to get a little more familiar with it. So I really like the teaching approach that's there, and it's not that expensive, to be honest, for I think what you're getting. So he has a CCIE written course, and it has an outline, and it covers a lot of material. And he's also been adding things. So one of the things I saw on the exam that I was a little surprised by in terms of the depth that was covered, I actually went looking for it in networklessons.com, and he had posted he had posted an update. So he does post updates to the content. Like I expect to see, I would hope, some new 1.1 stuff coming out on there. I can't lie, right? Network Lesson is pretty good. Oh, Debizzle, have you used it? So he uses just enough routers to get to the point. Yes, that's what I like, Debizzle. It's very focused on the topic, and it's just a brief lab. And that's the thing with the written. This is one thing Tom Hammond told me too when he was helping me recover from my first fail. He's like, Quentin, one thing I recommend you don't do, it is a sprint. He didn't say that word, but he just said, you're going to be tempted to just start labbing a whole bunch of stuff. there's going to be time for that for the lab, but if you do that, you could really drag out the time you're taking to study for the written. I mean, you could drag it on, and you don't want to do that. And I like that because he seems to have a very, in networklessons.com, it seems to have just enough. It's not deep dive. It's just helping you picture it. Are you talking about Rene? Yes, Rene. Isn't he in Router Gods? Because I think I've seen him post. But yeah, it's Rene's material, and it's really good. Rene Mullin, yes, that's who does networklessons.com. He even sent an email, 2 emails, and he said, hey, I'm sure it's auto-generated, but he's offering, you can reply, how's it going? Are you enjoying the site? Is there anything I can help with, etc.? Dimitri says, I used his book for CCNP. I liked his brief but clear explanation for the technology. Everything on his website was available for free back then. Oh, really? Okay, I don't think he's in Router. There's someone else in Router Gods in the routing and switching study group that has been talking about his site. I need to go back and look. I didn't know if that was him. He needs to get in there, though. Yeah, he's a great instructor. So anyway, I think after the postmortem, do a meetup. I'm probably going to go back and just start with some of the fundamentals in networklessons.com for now. In lieu of another plan, the plan may morph, it may change. I'm just going to start going through those. Hey, no problem to business. Don't worry about that warning. Yeah, this GNS3 Vault. Yeah, that's where I think he started to get some, recognition initially was from that site, which is really cool. So anyway, that's where I'm at on getting ready for the written. I'm just going to wrap things up here. Like I said, I am doing some F5 and Ansible work, just starting to dip my toes. I've got my first couple of Git repositories that I'm using for a project. That's cool. I've done some commits, some merges. I'm trying to learn Git. I still remember this cool EIGRP T-Shoot lab. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out too. Because EIGRP subtleties are important for the written too, believe it or not. So yeah, there's a new post on Twitch. Any of you who are streamers, you probably noticed a little pop-up when you go to your dashboard about a Twitch camp. It looks pretty slick. I do want to check it out. I've been doing it a while now. I've already made kind of a lot of modifications. There's some other things I want to do, but I still may go through that. Hey, you're not interrupting, Dimitri. That's the thing about Twitch. The magic of Twitch is the interaction, with the community and ideas that come up, and it's just great. You're not interrupting at all, my friend. And I don't know, Show, if you're on, I was watching your stream earlier today. This is one cool thing about streaming. Yes, you do. There is a lot to keep up with, but I noticed that one of your viewers helped you out with a password. And I like that you're starting to do some streaming. It is very low maintenance. It's not a big time suck, in terms of offering the content. So it's a time saver. I think that's certainly for sure. And the interaction is really cool. It is really cool. How many people can the free Zoom hold? We looked up the limitations of Zoom, and I think the limitations is time. So you can do a video call. I don't think it's there's a limit on the number of users. There probably is, but you can do up to 2 people is unlimited. Thank you, Show. If you do more than that, then it's limited to 40 minutes. So that's which is probably a good thing. It was password space, and a viewer pointed out. Viewers have helped me numerous times, Show, and stuff like that. Awesome having a study buddy. Study buddies are great. And Google Hangouts, too. We could do that. But yeah, so Twitch camp and stream routine. I did post something earlier. Now, this is a gamer. I mentioned him yesterday. But one of the things that was in His name is Deadly Slob, and he's been a professional streamer. That's how he makes his living, and he's been making his living for several years as a professional streamer every day. He has a schedule, and I think that's really important. I saw that post by Big Abe, talk about getting into streaming and doing a schedule. A schedule is great. It's good for you. It's good for users or your viewers and the community, people who are involved, with you. And that's one thing that came out of the most recent podcast of the Deadly Slob podcast. I should post that link. I've got it here. I think I put it in random link bucket. Oh no, content. See, I didn't follow my own sort of guidelines here. Well, let me find it real quick, guys. This is good. If you haven't checked him out yet, again, he is a gamer, and it's not necessarily he's not like super. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of foul language, but every once in a while he does. Just, you probably don't want to play it out loud at work. But I really like some of the things he said, and I think it's appropriate. I mean, I think it's, no matter what kind of content you're doing, I think it's he just has a lot of wisdom, because he's been doing it a while, folks. He's been doing it every day, pretty much, for several years, streaming on Twitch. And yeah, it says sponsored content, but it's not really, that's not the main gist of it. I'm going to post it right now, guys. I found it. But it's really good. And for any of you doing streaming, you may want to check it out. Mitcher says, I remember my first stream. I spent a lot of hours on setting that up. Now I'm just lazy to create cool panels. I know the feeling, my friend. I know the feeling. Yeah, so one thing he says too is don't look at your viewers. Like, hide that panel when you're streaming, because it can affect believe it or not, it can affect sort of your attitude and your dynamism on stream. In other words, it can affect you. So he's just got some great advice. So I know you're starting out, Big Abe, and show that you may just want to check it out. I don't know, I kind of like knowing someone is out there. Yeah, but when you first get started, at least I know in my case, think about this. You're going to start streaming, and you're not really in any community. And this is how I got started. And, I asked a few people to follow me just so I'd have a few followers, like friends and family. So I had like 15 followers in the beginning, or subscribers on YouTube. But a lot of times I get on there and there'd be nobody. So yeah, when you're first starting out, but just check out that podcast. See what he says. He has some very wise advice on streaming. But yeah, I can't see myself getting distracted, especially if I get trolls. Fortunately, mentors, I've not had any trolls on Twitch. Maybe one. On YouTube, to be honest, I had several, not many, but I had several trolls. And Demetrius, who was watching a lot of streams at the time, would tell you, and he was my first mod on YouTube. Because the first couple times I had people come on and they're posting links and they were saying some crazy stuff. He helped me nix a few of those people. But, that comes especially as you have a big channel, I think. Schedule is very important, Dimitri. That's why I stream 1 day per week, because Sunday is the only day I can guarantee my availability for the stream. That is so the truth. And that's one thing he talks about in this podcast, even on other episodes, is that is one of the biggest factors to a successful stream, is a schedule. No matter what that schedule is, as long as you're consistent, that's what really helps, you engage with the community. So anyway, check that out. I think that'll be good. Our puzzler answer, again, this is just going to be brief. What are the interface types for OTV, and what are the requirements for each? Well, did you guess them right? Did you know them what they were? I know Big Abe did because he's been labbing this stuff. But this is from and I've got it linked down here. I actually watched this before my last written exam because I knew I was weak on OTV. But you can get, this is a great presentation. I didn't watch the whole thing. I just kind of watched the first few minutes and I downloaded the slides. But yeah, you have a OTV edge device and you have your internal interface, which is just your layer 2 facing the network. No special configuration, you know, downlink, I don't know what you want to call it, but this is your standard interface. Then you have the site facing, as it calls it here. Then you have your join interface, and this is essentially your uplink. So this is the link you're going to use to communicate with the other OTV routers. So, and I say routers, I don't know if that's the right term, but that's your join interface. It's typically, you know, service provider. Like if you're connecting data centers across geographic regions, this is probably going to be a set of interfaces connecting to a service provider, right? Point-to-point routed interface. It's used to join the overlay network. No OTV specific configuration required either, and that's IPv4 only. But again, it's just a regular interface, IPv4. But then you have the overlay interface. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like, you know, a tunnel interface. It's a virtual interface with most of the OTV configuration. It's logical, multi-access, multicast capable. This is what's encapsulated in layer 2 frames. And those are the 3 main device types. This is a good chart, folks. I definitely recommend you review this. And if you're studying for the written, you know the differences and how to compare OTV with these other layer 2 technologies. I would also throw in here VXLAN. What is the difference between OTV and VXLAN? Again, they're not necessarily in the same space, but you know, just kind of throw that in there, be able to speak to what the differences are. I was correct with Big Abe. Boy, yeah, yes, Nexus Edge devices. My daughter's watching the stream with it. Everyone, time she sees stream, she says, "Hi, Mr. Man." Does she believe I'm real now? Show. She wasn't sure if I was a real person before. But yeah, guys, definitely check out the. Yeah, exactly, Divisible. That's what I was thinking too. So yeah, definitely check out these streams, guys. You know what I'm going to do? We had someone new drop into Discord today and say basically he wanted to sign up. He wants to start watching all the streams of everyone that's the networking streamers. So I told him about the communities. There are 3 communities that were put together with Iskralpust 90 and a couple other streamers that aren't super regular in another Discord. But there's no reason you guys that are streaming on Twitch anyway wouldn't want to use it. But I'm gonna create a kind of like a registry. Maybe we can put in the Discord or somewhere that for anyone new that wants to. As a matter of fact, in one other Discord channel, they have a group or a tag called Twitch viewers. And anytime someone announces they're going to stream, they'll put at Twitch viewers, and so that will throw a notification for anybody who's in Discord and wants to go check out a stream, so maybe we do some of that stuff. Her eyes are so big. Well, the sunglasses make you look like Terminator. To be back. She can't believe you just talked to her. Hey, Tony's daughter. How are you doing? Yes, we're talking to you across the internet, all the way on the other side of the world. Well, not really, but, you know. I know you're going to really help your dad out, get this study done, certification. Well, thanks, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get the study. I actually got to do a little work. Thanks so much this is a great stream tonight, great interaction with everybody. Thanks again for all the support of the channel, folks. The follows, donos, and the chats. and everything else. By the way, I think Big Abe, are you going on tonight? Guys, go ahead and if you want to put in the chat what time, if you are streaming tonight, what time you're streaming. If you're doing 9, yeah, let me get this link here. This was in live stream scheduling. All right, so this is Tony. I'm just gonna do a document right now. Networking streamers. Maybe we can do like a little registry where you guys can put. We'll just open it up and you can put your, if you want. I mean, you don't have to, of course. It's just to make it easy for people that are kind of discovering the Discord server. And then we got Big Abe. I'm going to post those too. And I'll be checking it out too tonight. I haven't seen you yet. That bothers me about Brave. And then we got Dimitri. And I'm going to get those others too from the other Discord. What is the proper place to write a guess for the puzzle? I don't know. I need to come up with that. Maybe we'll do a channel in the Discord. And see. That's a good point. I just kind of, if any of you all ever watch Click and Clack, the Tappet Brothers, not watch, but listen to them on NPR. The Winner Circle. They did that on their show. Every week they would do a puzzler. And they would announce the winner of the last puzzler as soon as they got to that part of the show. They'd announce the answer and the winner. And then they would send them a t-shirt or something like that. And then they would do the next puzzler, right? So maybe we can keep this going. We can figure out how to do this. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate everybody's company and your encouragement. And we're going to keep on going. I know you guys will too. Sending you all the good bits. You'll have a great evening. Big Abe, if you stream tonight, I'm going to turn on notifications so that if you stream, I'll definitely check it out. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on the Land Timber Stream.